Algeria used football to win independence from France. And while the use of sports for political ends is nothing new, this is no ordinary story. It is one of a daring escape across 4 countries, 2 continents, and the sea. A team built in secret, hunted down by France, that went on to mesmerize the world, and victories that invigorated a nation to fight for liberation after a century of colonialism. Pour yourself some tea and settle into your seat, because to tell this tale, we first have to go back in time. In 1954, Algerians, led by the National Liberation Front, or the FLN, launched their revolution against 124 years of French colonialism that was marked by brutality, oppression, and massacres. It was considered just another region of France, and they didn't want to let go. Following the infamous Battle of Algiers in 1957 and other French military victories, the Algerian fight for liberation suffered successive blows and was significantly weakened. The FLN had to rely on other means to challenge France, politics, and the internationalization of their struggle. They understood that to gain independence, they needed global support and solidarity alongside their armed resistance. So what better way, they thought, to get the world on their side than football? It was the people's game, after all. The FLN saw the upcoming 1958 World Cup in Sweden during June as the perfect opportunity. The whole world would be watching, and there was no better time to center the Algerian struggle for liberation on a global stage. But they were missing something, a team, and they only had 2 months to find one. And this is where our clandestine story begins. Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and want to support our work, you can become a paid member of our Patreon, where you can get exclusive episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and a glimpse into our storytelling process. Help us sustain this channel so we can tell more stories like this. The link to our Patreon is in the description. Maher Mezahi, a former football player and FLN operative, was the mastermind behind what came next. As the best Algerian professional football players played in France, he started recruiting them to defect in secret. Some were doing their military service, and leaving would be committing the crime of treason. The plan was anything but simple. Escape France, make their way to Tunisia, where the newly formed Algerian national team will be based. On April 14, 1958, 12 Algerian football stars, who played for top-tier French clubs, packed their bags and started this arduous journey. Among them were Mustafa Zaytouni and Rachid Makhloufi, who were going to play for the French national team at the Sweden World Cup. Their absence would be a huge blow to France, and so the consequences, if any of these players got caught, would be severe. As 4 of them approached the French-Swiss border, their car was stopped by border guards. Their nerves rattled, fearing the worst. But the guards asked them for their autographs and waved them through instead. They just passed the point of no return. On the morning of April 15th, the news broke and it shook the world. 10 made it and 2 were arrested. Those who escaped continued their journey down to Italy, across the Mediterranean Sea, and finally into Tunisia. And there it was, l'équipe du FLN de football was born. For the first time ever, Algeria had a national team, playing under the country's flag and representing its colors. This was subversive, because it defied the French claim to Algeria and the identity it tried to impose on them, reinforcing Algerian self-determination and independence. That symbolism on its own sent shockwaves across France and their settlers in French Algeria. France quickly petitioned FIFA to make the FLN team illegal, which they did, banning FIFA members from playing against the team. It was also believed that Flamand Rouge, the French terrorist group operated by French intelligence, was after them. But that didn't stop them either. The Algerian national team went on a world tour, playing other teams in Tunisia, Morocco, Yugoslavia, Vietnam, and China, and others in the Eastern Bloc. Tens of thousands of people would come to their games, excited by the novelty of their story and the beauty of their football that was fluid, technical, and full of finesse, believed to have emerged from the narrow streets of the Kasbah in Algiers. They won their games by big margins. With every country they visited, they brought with them the spirit of anti-colonial struggle and national identity, connecting Algeria with other struggles around the world, and meeting with revolutionary leaders like Ho Chi Minh, Tito, and Mao Zedong. They served as ambassadors of their cause, raising awareness, educating people, and even raising funds for the revolution. For Algerians fighting for liberation back home, seeing the FLN team mesmerized the world, boosted morale, and reinvigorated the national movement. An Algerian leader proclaimed that the team advanced the cause of Algerian independence by 10 years. This extraordinary story shows how sports are political and how football, the people's game, can help fuel a liberation struggle by connecting with others who are fighting for their own independence. My name is Salim, and I tell stories that connect the unexpected. Subscribe for more and support our work on Patreon.